Okay, we're back again. Shout out to you if you made this far. And if this your first time seeing these videos, you read this book right here. If this your first time seeing this channel, click the channel and go all the way back so you can see the first video, so you're not reading the book out of order. So you hold on, let me turn this down. So it's no spoilers, cause that's the spoiler alert. That's the spoiler alert. Okay, so now we're in chapter 8, and it's titled "Murder." That's what happened. Chapter 8. We'll stop at Clearwater on the way back, Uncle Ralph said as they walked to the car. We're running low on powdered milk and a lot of other stuff. And then I were to go to the library, if they have one, that is. Chris stared at him, wide-eyed. Could he read her mind? Had he overheard Grandma talking? No, she decided he just naturally a library person. The grocery shopping went quickly, with Uncle Ralph tossing cans of packages and loaves of bread into their cart, hardly a glance at the labels. After that, they went next door to the drugstore. Uncle Ralph bought shaving cream, and Chris found a paperback book full of jokes and riddles. If she was going to bring sunshine, next page. If she was going to bring sunshine into her uncle's life, maybe the book would help, and maybe not. He sniffed when he saw what she'd chosen. Now the library, he said. It's right around the corner. According to the druggist, I don't suppose there's a very big one. His voice faded as they turned off the main street and stared at the tiny one-room building marked Public Library. Uncle Ralph shook his head. Not a chance in a million that they'll have anything I need, he grumped. But I suppose they can order for me. I'll be out in a few minutes, Christina. You can wait in the car. Chris felt sick with the disappointment. She pictured a big 2-story library like the one at home. How could she go inside this little building and ask to see newspapers of 30 years ago in the first place? They probably wouldn't have them in the first place. Uncle Ralph would hear her and tell her to forget the whole thing. She walked back to the corner and looked for something to do while she waited. Across the street was a clothing store advertising the sale of summer shorts and t-shirts. Beyond that was an ice cream shop. Chocolate, pecan, and rainbow, she thought. Suddenly starved, she'd take a triple dipper back for Uncle Ralph, too. Next page. She was just turning into the shop when a sign in the next window caught her eye. The Clearwater Journal, a newspaper office. She studied the other signs taped to the glass. Subscribe now. Job printed, reasonable rates. Surely the printers would keep copies of their old newspapers. The triple dippers forgotten. Chris marched her to the office and looked around. A skinny, glum-looking man was behind the counter. One fist clutched a telephone. With the other hand, he was jotting additions to a long list of items. He had an odd, glazed expression, and his glance flickered over Chris without seeing her. After what seemed a very long time, he mumbled a goodbye and hung up. Liberated women, he snarled into the air above Chris's head. Excuse me. She took one step closer to the counter. Women, the man snapped. Wives. Chris looked over her shoulder, ready to run if necessary. I suppose when you grow up, you're going to want a career, the man jeered. He made careers sound terrible. My wife's a nurse. Works second shift at the hospital. Chris cleared her throat. That's nice, she said casually. Nothing nice about it. She calls to tell me to do the next page. Grocery shopping. She tells me to wash the windows. She calls to tell me what to fix for dinner. He shook his head so hard the pencil poison behind one ear hurtled through the air. And what do you want? I'd like to see some old newspapers, Chris said. The request sounded silly, even to herself. How old? The man glanced. The man glared at the phone, as if he was daring it to ring again. About 30 years, Chris said. Need help in my hair. If it isn't too much trouble. It's trouble, the man said. What week do you want? We publish once a week. I don't know. Why had she thought this would work? The man scooped up his pencil and thrust it back behind his ear. Then I can't help you, he said, sounding pleased. You certainly don't expect me to pull out a whole year's worth of newspaper, do you? That was exactly what Chris had hoped he'd do, but she didn't dare say so. Clearly he didn't like females, even very young ones. Maybe he didn't like anybody. She shifted one foot to another. We are staying at the old Charles house, she said. It's a big house on the lake, way out in the woods, my uncle said. Something happened there about 30 years ago. I have to find out what it was. Next page. The man scowled. No need to get out a pack of newspapers to tell you that, he muttered. Murders. That's what happened at the Charles house. Murders. 2 people, man and boy. The man pursed his lips. It's not a nice story, and you shouldn't even want to know about it. You should be learning to cook or making dog clothes. He narrowed his eyes at her. Nobody does what they're supposed to anymore. Nobody. He turned away and hunched over the list on the desk. Chris waited. When he looked to see if she was still there, she forced a smile. Just one newspaper, then, she pleaded. Or 2. That wouldn't be much trouble, would it? The man came back to the counter and glared down at her. Do you want to know something?